Hi. Let's talk about Couples Retreat.
Musical styles are still a very important form of communication for our young people.
Real quick before we dive in with this episode, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who has recently subscribed to the channel. I started this about a year and a half ago, mostly as a way of keeping productive and sane during the quarantine period, but I'm actually having a lot of fun doing this, and you can look forward to more content to come in the future. So if you do like this, if you like the past stuff, if you're new here, go ahead, throw me a like if you want. Send me a comment down below if you have an idea for a movie to talk about, but let's go ahead and get into it. Couples Retreat is a 2009 romantic comedy written by Vince Vaughn and the wonderful Jon Favreau, directed by Peter Billingsley, who would also help Favreau with the board game turned kid adventure film Zathura. The cast is an absolute treasure. Vaughn and Favreau star in it, alongside Malin Ackerman from Watchmen and Billions, Jason Bateman from Juno and Ozark, Faison Love from Friday and The Parenthood, Kristen Bell from Veronica Mars, Assassin's Creed and Heroes, Kristen Davis from Sex and the City and General Hospital, Callie Hawk from New Girl and Black Jesus. I mean, shit, they got Peter Serafinowicz, the sommelier himself. They have Tamora Morrison, the fucking Fat Man. John Reno was in this. John Reno, he was in Leon the Professional. He was in goddamn Onimusha 3. He was killing demons. My god. Okay, let me back up. Let me refocus. I'm sorry. As well as the film did financially, earning back nearly triple its budget, critically, it was vastly panned for the most part, which is truly a shame because upon a rewatch of this film, I think it's some of the best performances we've gotten from each of these cast members. Jason Bateman deserves a special shout out because he really took the role to heart and made me feel for him at every comedic and emotional step. The story revolves around four couples, all of whom are friends, heading to a resort island where they're tricked into participating in couples counseling. John Reno guides them through multiple exercises, and he has an absolute ball in the role, you can definitely tell. Now, while the overarching theme of the film is obviously just relationships, this film does a really fantastic job at showing us specifically two major aspects of what can make a relationship work or not work. The crux of the story is in regard to Jason and Cynthia's failing marriage due to their inability to have a child. At the start of the film, they interrupt a kid's birthday party with an entire PowerPoint presentation about their issue and even break down on a time chart how long it would take them to find new partners and try again. I mean, this is a pair of individuals that have always seen the world in terms of numbers, and I assume that's what brought them together in the first place. But it's that same quality that's now presenting them with issues. It's totally fine to try and make sense of your world by charting things out and plotting out where you want to go, but you should never forget that you sometimes have to just listen to your heart and go with your gut on things. When they get to the island and they finally sit with a therapist, they immediately give him an entire binder full of information about themselves, yet they have a hard time actually saying how they feel both about themselves and each other.
We want to make the most of our time here on the island, so what we did was we put together a little informational packet to bring you up to speed on our relationship. Go ahead, that's for you.
It just contains pertinent medical data, family histories, stuff like that.
Everything but a mixtape.
I heard what you think. But what I'm really interested in is hearing about how you feel. Just tell her how you feel.
Well, I think if you looked at everything
No. Just don't explain intellectually how you feel. Just tell her how you feel.
Now, clearly Jason is the worst of the two in this regard, because whereas we see Cynthia finally get a lot of her feelings out earlier throughout the film, Jason is still very much in logic mode till damn near the end of the film. During the group yoga session, everyone is understandably a little uncomfortable with some of the things the instructor is doing, yet Jason just stares and absorbs the information like he's attending a seminar.
Oh, look at this one. This little one is flexible.
Yes. She's really good.
Oh, fantastic. So you do like the lizard. Now is when we transfer the energy, you see?
Yep, and you just lay everything on top of her?
Yes. Lay it all. Stretch.
That feels pretty good, hon?
Boom. Boom.
What?
Boom.
Am I straight enough here, do you think? Or am I curving a little?
Let me show you.
Christ's sake, even when Trudy leaves and the rest of the group is hatching a plan to go and find her, Jason is still trying to stick to the counseling program completely and utterly out of his own logical need rather than responding to how everyone else is actually feeling.
We can't even go to that side, all right? And it's going to get very dark very soon. Plus, we have to be at bed.
What are you talking about?
Listen to me. We have to be to bed at a very reasonable hour tonight because we cannot miss the sunrise in the morning. Now, Marcel said if we miss that sunrise, we will not be completing our course. We are here for the course, all right? And stop eating and drinking as well.
And it all culminates in Cynthia jumping out of a canoe and swimming to shore rather than continue to listen to him try and make everything perfect. It's only when Joey states what just happened that Jason actually snaps out of it.
A grown woman literally jumped into shark-infested waters and did a distance swim that she had no way to train for, instead of staying in a dry canoe with you. Look in the mirror.
Once he realizes he's been an ass and he and Cynthia finally sit down for a drink, they actually start laughing and reminiscing and immediately reconnect. And as crazy as it may sound, sometimes it can just be that simple.
Sometimes we forget how to do the easiest thing in the world, which is just to talk to each other.
Two of the other couples, Dave and Ronnie, as well as Joey and Lucy, have their own issues of communication. Joe and Lucy arguably have the bigger issue in that they were high school sweethearts who had a kid really early and spent a lot of their time feeling trapped by the other.
We had our fun. We're not missing out on anything.
No, you were single, you had fun, I got married early, so I never got to experience it.
When they get to the island, Joey is immediately eyeing up other women and trying to figure out how to get over to the single side. He even tries to get his masseuse to give him a hand job, but Lucy isn't much better. She eyes up the yoga instructor and later drinks with him. She tries hitting on her masseuse, only failing because he isn't into women, and she's just as excited to be at the single side of the resort as Joey is. Dave and Ronnie, who are arguably the main characters, do have a much more stable and loving relationship than Joey and Lucy. You know, they love their kids, they have their own banter, but they do also have their own issues. And it mostly stems from just how busy their lives are. Dave works for a video game distribution company who's launching a new game, and Ronnie does the lion's share of taking care of the kids day to day and overseeing the house renovations. Most of the conflict we see from them starts because of said renovations, and then grows into the larger issue of them realizing that they sort of talk at each other rather than really trying to communicate and understand why things are or are not important to each other. Side tangent, I do fully believe that there are certain things in relationships that you're allowed to just not care about. If we're using that couple as an example, it's totally understandable and okay that he doesn't really care about what the renovations are ultimately going to look like because it's just not something on his mind and he has actual work to do. However, I do also believe that even if you don't particularly care about something in the relationship, you still care about your partner, and if they find it important, you should still put some sort of effort into it. So I at least appreciate that he did go to the store with her to look at tiles and piping. Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau can always entertain us with the way they make us laugh, but what really makes them stand above so many others is that they put just as much energy and love and dedication into making you feel just as much as they make you laugh. Relationships, no matter the length, are messy, but they're so wonderful and important, and it takes a lot of effort to keep them flourishing. And that's a great message to take away after all of the laughs. And trust me, there are a lot of laughs to be had here.
Why did you call her?
Didn't want to wake you up. Sorry, blew that. Back to bed.
Now, if you're not wearing any drawers, then, hey, that was meant to be. Let it all hang out.
This is starting to get a little creepy now.
You mean a lot to me if you just take your pants off, all right, Dave?
Is that why you brought me here? What we need to do now is get focused and stop pointing fingers. You're a problem. You're a real problem.
What happened to spontaneity? What happened to fun?
I don't know. Why don't we have a PowerPoint presentation on spontaneity and fun and figure that one out? Okay, but that's not a real toilet there.
It looks like a real toilet to me.
I will, however, take the fact that Grandpa Jim Jim's at the front door as a firm tentative yes. Pack lots of shorts. It's really hot there. You're gonna sweat your bag off. Night-night, kids.
But I'm curious, what do you think?
Musical styles are communication for our young people. Hi.